Welcome everybody. Welcome to our second concert series of the year. This is our Midwinter concert. A lot of you were here for our fall concert, and I hope you will get to see and hear all the fantastic progress that your students, your children, that I'm so lucky to work with on a daily basis, all the great things that they've been doing. Before we get to a few other formal announcements, let me also remind you, this is on the back of your program for upcoming events. Next Saturday, we are having a centennial celebration of the instrumental music department, specifically the 100th year that the orchestra has been in existence. That was the beginning of the IMD at Heights High. Okay? That's right, give it up. Technically, we're 101. But when we were 100, it was not so cool to get together. You remember that? It wasn't all that long ago. Holy cow. All right, so we're still recovering a little bit from those days. But we do hope that you'll be able to come out and join us. Students will be doing sort of a shortened version of their program that they're doing tonight, and also a few other faves like Heights Victory, woot woot, and also the Alma Mater. And we're doing a piece where we can involve as many of our alums as possible. We decided we would choose a full orchestra piece with fairly simple parts, but still a great piece of music. Anybody know the Farandole by Georges Bizet? Anybody know that piece? Yeah. Mr. King might know that piece. Yeah, okay. So anyway, it's going to be fun. We're going to have lots of people playing here in the auditorium. So we'll have bands and orchestras on stage. We'll have lots of people who can be out in the auditorium playing with us as well. So we hope you'll join us. The rehearsal for that is 3 o'clock. Dr. Marzola and I are, I think, hoping we can keep it to under 2 hours so that everybody can take a break, get some dinner, and then come back for a 7 o'clock performance. It's going to be a lot of fun. So feel free to come talk to us or email me about that if you need to afterwards. Bopo has been super supportive. Thank you, Bopo. Let's give it up for Bopo. And now we get to the actual part of the program where I get to give you the disclaimer and the warning and all that sort of stuff. So please, at this time, will you please silence all of your cell phones, pagers. Does anybody have a pager? Please do not allow your owls to come in here and deliver mail to you. That's a Harry Potter joke. Okay, never mind. Please, let's avoid all disruptions that we can possibly have so that your students can be the focus of tonight's performance. It will be videotaped, and so we will see that on the website. And we got some really, really cool stuff for you tonight. So we're going to start tonight's program with the concert orchestra. Please welcome the concert orchestra out to the stage. time pulling up the microphone. I have been extremely blessed this year to have an outstanding student teacher come and work with us, as are all of our students. Your children are really privileged to have such an excellent teacher in training working with them. I'd like to introduce all of you to Ms. Ruth Cabano.
Hi everyone, it's my pleasure tonight to tell you about the last piece that we just played, Red Lion. We thought that this was a great piece to start off with for this group. It's fast, it's exciting. A lot of it is, I wouldn't say not challenging, but kind of more approachable for a first piece because so much of it is played together in terms of those rhythms. But there's also quite a few challenges in this piece in terms of learning new finger patterns and notes that's eventually going to let us play in new key signatures. The next piece that you're about to hear is called Subterranean. It's a very different feeling from the last piece we just played. Subterranean really reaches down into the depths of the instrument, has a lot of melody that's focused primarily on the lower strings, which we don't often get to in kind of beginning intermediate string playing. So this one really lives up to the names. It's dark, it's heavy, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy Subterranean.
So I think you can probably agree the vibe of that piece is very different. It's nice for us to explore, starting to get a little bit slower and definitely a little lower. An important part of really just getting a better grip on the whole instrument, being able to play it from top to bottom. This next set of pieces, the three Susato dances, are pretty much what they're advertised as. Three dances by Tillman Susato, a Renaissance composer. And we have a very special guest coming to join us. We're going to have Mr. Oyster Hansen come out here and play percussion with us. So a lot of this music would have been accompanied by drums and and percussion like tambourines. And so we're going to add a little bit of that spice to it. We hope you enjoy this really fun set of pieces, the 3 Sestado dances. out the Philharmonic strings. So give us a minute. We'll be right back.
The piece you just heard is called Wildfire, and hopefully you were able to hear the fire part of that. That's really what we've been trying to draw out of this ensemble in the last week. Definitely a lot of challenges, especially with the fast-paced nature of this song. You probably heard a lot of different ways that we use the bow. You heard really long lyrical first violin melodies. You heard that kind of driving sound that comes from all of the sections. So we were really working on different bow strokes and articulations, such as those short notes and those long notes. The next piece you're about to hear is called Avalon Rising. This will be conducted by Mr. Heim, so we're going to bring him back out in a minute. Avalon Rising also has its own degree of complexity. First of all, the students got this piece a lot later on in the concert cycle and have made amazing progress with it, especially in the last 2 weeks, but over the whole course of us working on this piece. You're going to hear a lot of different rhythms layered together. At parts of this, every single section in the orchestra is doing something totally different in terms of the rhythms, and that is really complicated. So you're going to hear all of that. You're also going to hear this melody that starts in the violas in the beginning of the piece, but is passed around to the entire orchestra. So in this, we worked on some different fingerings, and especially those different rhythms all layering together into a really cool finished product. I hope you enjoy Avalon Rising.
So that has that sort of darker feel to it, something that's a little more lyrical, melodic, and exciting. One of the things that's also quite difficult about that piece, which is maybe not apparent to the average listener or even the average musician, frankly, is how difficult it is to play well in 3/4 time. And so especially the rhythms that are in there, as Ms. Cavana was so astutely talking about, all of the rhythmic independence in those parts is very challenging, but playing in 3/4 time is also quite difficult a lot of times, and you've got to do that stuff too. So they did a really wonderful job. They learned a lot on this piece. I'm really proud of what they all did on that. Let's give it up for them one more time. Good. Really good. So this next piece is just a bundle of fun, and we're just going to kind of play it because why not, right? It is a lot of fun. We hope you enjoy the Ukrainian dance, or the Hopak, here by Modest Mussorgsky. So, Philharmonic Strings is now also going to take their seats in the auditorium, and then we'll bring out High-Tech Symphony Orchestra String. So, once again, we're going to have another musical offering. Before I have the symphony come out, though, I did want to give you some information about what's happening next, both because it's really cool and it's a little different from what we normally do. So, for this first piece for the symphony, we are going to play a piece called Steampunk. Okay? Now, you've probably seen that in the program already. We are going to do this with everything blacked out in the auditorium and just stand lighting. So it's going to get very dark in here in a little bit. Not quite yet. We're going to have it darken the house first. I know Keith knows what he's doing, right, Keith? He gives me a thumbs up, of course. So it's going to be dark for you, sort of, right now, and then it's going to get really dark for all of us once I'm done talking here. So steampunk, right? This is a piece that I came across a while back, and I was like, that's kind of an interesting piece. I think I'd like to get that and maybe, do it with my groups at some point. Wasn't really sure who I'd do it with or who, when the time would be that we'd want to do it. But it came together kind of organically as a really nice piece for the symphony to do here on this program. And just to read the definition of steampunk from our most reliable source, Wikipedia. Just kidding, okay. Steampunk is a subgenre of science fiction that incorporates retro-futuristic technology and aesthetics inspired by 19th century industrial steam-powered machinery. Steampunk works are often set in an alternative history of the Victorian era or the American Wild West, where steam power remains in mainstream use or in a fantasy world that similarly employs steam power. So a lot of you are probably aware of certain films maybe that also make use of this kind of aesthetic. Sometimes they're rather, shall we say, apocalyptic or something like that. I still wanted to have something with this piece that was more than just the musical performance. I wanted to have something that was a visual. So, because I feel like it's very evocative, both the name and the music. So I contacted our digital video teacher, Mrs. Cynthia Booker, who also happens to be a neighbor of mine. And I said, listen to this piece and tell me, do you think that one of your students might be able to put together a video or something that would be really cool for us to play along with? And a couple weeks later, she says, hey, Mr. Heim, I got a couple videos for you. And they were both excellent. One of them, the one you're going to see tonight, really kind of fit the aesthetic best. And so this video is done by Jackson Vogel. And it's really important that we recognize him and also Mrs. Booker for all that they did to collaborate with us and make this a really cool thing. So you're going to see something that I've never done here before. We're going to do a silent film of sorts. It's only going to be 5 minutes, but it's fun. So I want to thank Keith Newman, of course, for being willing to go on this adventure with us. Thank you, Keith. Keith made sure that we'd have plenty of opportunities to do this with the video, so we'd be ready to go for tonight. I also should mention that it's going to be conducted by the fabulous Ruth Cavano. And Mr. Ferris and I are going to stand in the back and bang on some stuff, which just kind of helps add to the effect. So we hope you enjoy Steampunk. Let's invite the Symphony Orchestra out. Savannah Thieves. One more time. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Cool. All right, so let's go backward a little bit, shall we? Instead of late 19th century, let's go back to late 18th century, shall we? Mozart was born in 1756 and died in 1791. Do the math. Dude was not old. But Mozart wrote a ton of music in his lifetime. A ton of music in his lifetime. I was actually just watching Amadeus with my family this last week and just in awe. Not so much because Amadeus is anywhere true. It's not a true story, but a lot of the truisms about Mozart's character and about how brilliant he was, how quickly he wrote music was very true in the movie. And that's what's really astonishing, in my opinion. The amount of music that he wrote, from the age that he wrote it, and this music that we're going to play, we actually played 2 movements of it in the fall, if you remember. We played the first and the third movements. We're now going to add the second and fourth movements. And this music was part of the later phase in his life. He wrote a total of almost 626 pieces of music, according to the Kirchenverzeichnis, as it's called. The last being his Requiem. This is number 525 out of those 626. So this Eine kleine Nachtmusik was originally written probably for a small chamber orchestra, but it's often played by string quartets. We're fortunate to be able to do it in a string orchestra setting right now. And let me tell you, and I'm sure professional musicians, teachers out here in the audience can tell you also quite clearly, if you really want to cut your teeth as a musician, you have to be able to play classical music in the style of Haydn and Mozart really, really well. And let me tell you, these guys are playing it really, really well. So I hope you enjoy our performance of Eine kleine Nachtmusik. you so excited? Like how well they played? All right, so at this point, we're going to bring up members of the Philharmonic Strings. Okay, they're going to join us, and we're going to play our first of two combined numbers. So come on up, guys. Don't waste time. I know you're excited to play again. So they know where they're going. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this next piece, The Lullaby by William Hofelt. Really gorgeous, full string orchestra sound writing from William Hofelt, who has written a lot of original music for educational settings. This is truly a great piece of music. Like, it could be done in concert halls easily. And I know a lot of fellow music educators who love to play this piece with their groups as well. This is the first time I'm actually getting to play this with any of my groups, in part because it requires, I think, a larger string ensemble. For those of you who are familiar with string playing, one of the things that tends to happen from time to time is that one single line will get divided into two lines. So the first violins, or the seconds, or the violas, or the cellos, or the basses might have what we call divisi writing, where there's one part that's higher and one part that's lower. This piece has a lot of that. So if you have a small orchestra, it doesn't really work well to do it. So this is the first time that I have the opportunity to do this with these students, and I'm really excited. It's a beautiful piece of music. The Lullaby by William Hofelt, and I think we are just about set. Shall we check some tuning real quick? How about we check this string by string? So we're going to be working it good. All right, concert orchestra, come on up here. So we thoroughly enjoyed playing for you tonight. We hope you enjoyed the program. Lots of wonderful things happening here in the orchestras, lots of great progress, development from all the groups across the board. Hope you saw that tonight, hope you heard it tonight. And we're going to finish with something that's kind of a fun way to send you all out. I think I might need to move this out of the way here. Don't want to knock it over. All right. Everybody in place? Good? No? Ah, very good. It's the most important instrument in the orchestra. Thanks you all for coming out. Come out and have a party with us over in the cafeteria, shall we? Go.